Now, usually, as I'm sure you may know by now, at the end of every Call of Duty Zombies comic that we have had so far, there is a loading screen. And the same stands for the 3rd issue. Just the other day, part 3, episode 3 of our COD Zombies comic series was released, where we got given a ton of interesting information. I've done a video on that already. If you want to check it out, I will link it down in the description. But what we didn't have on the digital version, because iTunes cut it off, was the loading screen. So a lot of people were thinking that we're not getting a loading screen for the 3rd issue, but that's not the case. If you get yourself a hand copy, if you go and buy it from the store, you will see on the back page there is a loading screen, and this one is different and really interesting from the other ones that we've got so far, because this one seems like a mixture between Nacht Der Untoten and Mob of the Dead. We have these two maps kind of interfering with each other in this new loading screen that you can see on screen now. There are a few similarities between the original Nacht Der Untoten loading screen. The style is the same, the pictures, the dates, and a few other things are just mixed around. The original version, which you see on screen now, was very confusing to say the least. In fact, I still don't think anyone till this day fully understands what's truly going on here. And if I'm correct in saying this, this loading screen wasn't given to us until we had the Black Ops remastered version of Nacht Der Untoten. In the original, we had a video intro cutscene. We didn't get this loading screen until we had the Black Ops version, which must mean there is a story and a meaning behind this. Although it looks like it, this isn't just a mess, this isn't something random that Treyarch came up with. This must have a meaning behind it, right? But from what we can tell, it doesn't necessarily link into a lot of things that we know in our storyline. It is to do with brainwashing or mind control, and as we know, that's what Richtofen and Group 935 were trying to do to the zombies. So possibly that's what this could be telling us. I was thinking, since maybe it has something to do with mind control, it could have something to do with Group 935 trying to control people and zombies. We see we have this mysterious character standing under the light on the left. The date is 1964, and then we seem to go back in time. The next picture seems to be this guy showing these people something, possibly on a monitor or something else. We look at the bottom, all of these people are looking at screens, and then we have the quote ZZZ, which usually means they are sleeping, or which in this case could mean they are hypnotized. And then it says silence as we have people walking in a line, which could show that whoever this person is, they have now, by showing them something on the monitor or doing something to them, have taken control of their mind. They are doing whatever this mysterious character says. And then weirdly on the right, again, everything in this is so random, but we have some crates with the Soviet Union on, and then we have like Cuba and Vietnam. It looks like these crates are being sent to Cuba and Vietnam, maybe from the Soviet Union. We really don't know. Then on the bottom right, we have someone in 1943 coming out of what looks to be a teleporter. And actually, because of the numbers behind this guy, the numbers following him, we can only really say that this, more than likely, is the Pentagon Thief. It would only make sense, right? Why would these very same numbers, this very same thing that happened to the Pentagon Thief, be happening to this guy coming out of the portal? Plus, remember that the map 5, the only map that we had the Pentagon Thief on, was in Black Ops, and we only saw this loading screen once Black Ops was out. There must be a correlation there. I'm thinking that this guy coming out of the teleporter is the Pentagon Thief. It's gotta be, right? In 5, he did teleport around the map, and if that is the Pentagon Thief on the right there, then maybe that's also him on the left who is doing the mind control. Maybe all of this happened in the Pentagon, where secretly, as we know, they have a underfloor basement area, like a ground zero, where they were doing experiments on animals, 115 teleportation, the Winter's Howl. So possibly the Pentagon Thief was the one doing these experiments on these people, this mind control, but before he became infected and turned into this creature that we see him as in the map 5. Maybe he experimented on himself and turned himself into that creature. We really don't know. It is super confusing, but then we come over to this new loading screen, which is really interesting. And as I said earlier, this seems to be linked to Mob of the Dead, and as I go through this, you will see why. So clearly it's the same layout, or a very similar one, to Nacht Der Untoten, so we know it's to do with that map straight away. But if we start off on the left in 1914, now that's the start of World War I. Origins took place in 1918, but as you see, again, we have this character standing under a light. He has those same yellow glowing eyes, which actually stand out a little bit more than before, but usually we would associate that to the zombies, so possibly this guy is and always was a zombie, or maybe he's turning, we don't know. But the difference is, in his hand, he is holding a dildo. No jokes. He's holding he's holding a baton. Now, who do we know in our zombie storyline, a big character who has a baton, who uses it for things? That is Brutus. So possibly this is Stanley Ferguson, the warden from Mob of the Dead. Now we move over again. This image is very similar to the original Nacht Der Untoten, but what's different is this is more zoomed out than the original version. This time we can see this person is sitting down on a desk, and that light, what we originally thought was maybe a monitor, this time is a candle. You can actually faintly see the candle outline on the desk. Now we come over to 1933, which suspiciously is actually the date of Mob of the Dead. The date we play Mob is December 31st, 1933, which is New Year's Eve, and obviously the date on this is 1933. The date that our characters travel to Mob of the Dead, we think, is 1933. They definitely travel there at the same time that the Mob of the Dead crew is there, which must be before 1933, so it could have been 33, 32. I believe they may have even been there for 2 years prior to us playing, so it might have been 31. But 1933 is the date of Mob. Now we see above again, we have people walking in kind of like nightgowns or whatever that is. In the original one, it looked to be mind control. Well, that's just my guess anyway. But what's different about this is the fact that in the background there looks to be kind of bars or cages. This looks to be inside of the Mob of the Dead prison. Are these maybe prisoners marching out of their cells or going back to them? Again, we don't know. We also look below this and we can see the little canisters, the chambers, the pods that we saw Dempsey locked in Der Eisendrache. The pod that they put Dempsey in to transfer him up to the moon. We also saw more of these pods within the teleporter room in Der Eisendrache. I mean, we have 4 of them here, and we know we have 4 characters: Nikolai, Takeo, Dempsey, and I would say Richtofen, but since I'm guessing he wouldn't have been in one of these pods, the other could have been for Pablo Marinus. So while these 4 pods may be hinting towards them, maybe they're linked somehow to our Mob of the Dead crew. Again, we don't know, but for some reason the Der Eisendrache pods are here on this Mob of the Dead / Nacht Der Untoten loading screen, and for some reason it says, maybe that's to get us questioning what's going on. We then come up to the top right hand corner. This one's a little bit more difficult to see what's going on. Now remember, in the original one we had crates of the Soviet Union flag on, and then we had Cuba and Vietnam, but this one looks to be inside of the Mob of the Dead prison. If you look on the left, you can see cell blocks, you can see the walkways above. If you look up again, you can see the little skyline in the roof with the metal cage bars across so no one can escape. But what's interesting is actually on the right, you could also faintly see the pods. You could see the yellow outline of these 4 pods that we see in this picture. Why are these 4 pods in the Alcatraz prison? This area kind of looks like the starting area of Mob of the Dead, or the little area that you see in the cutscene. I'll show you images as well, but again, you can see the comparison. Then we come down to the bottom right hand corner, which again is interesting. This time traveling from 1933 to 1914. Now in the original we had 1 person coming out of the teleporter, which I assumed to be the Pentagon Thief. It really could have been anyone, but the numbers indicate that it could be the Pentagon Thief. Now in the new one we have 4 characters coming out of the portal, and I believe this to be our 4 characters: Nikolai, Dempsey, Takeo and Richtofen. And if you look, the right hand character at the back has the same Russian pilot shaped hat that Dempsey wears. The person at the front probably is Richtofen. I mean, it looks like him with all the gear that he's wearing, even though you can only see the silhouette. And then at the back looks to be Takeo, and then just in front of him looks to be Dempsey with his spiky hair. So these 4 characters look to be our original 4. Whether these are the Origins crew or the original 4, again, we don't know. Though this is all very interesting. There's been a lot of people saying that we're going to be getting a DLC 5 and we're going to be getting remakes of these maps. Again, nothing's confirmed, but it is suspicious that they're giving us all of these old loading screens, and this one actually doesn't really give us too much. I mean, the other ones that we've had so far are just like zoomed out versions of the original, but this one is really quite a bit different and still just as confusing as the original was. If it starts from left to right from 1914, World War I, with Stanley Ferguson, maybe that's him transforming into Brutus. Then we have him sitting on the desk with a candle doing something to these people in front. And then we travel to 1933 to Mob of the Dead, where we have these people, maybe they're prisoners or experiments, walking in a line. We also see the 4 pods, and then we see someone here, maybe that's Stanley Ferguson, standing inside of the Alcatraz prison, and then we travel to 1941, where our characters come out of the teleporter. It's really interesting, so let me know what you think about it down in the comments section below. I honestly don't know what to think about it. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, if you could take a second out of your time to leave me a like rating, that'd be much appreciated. Make sure you are subscribed and also click that little bell notification icon to stay up to date with the latest videos, and I will see you all in the next one. Thank you, check out these other videos, and I will see you, I just said this, goodbye.